The concept of the fiery furnace, faith tested in the crucible, is derived from a well-known biblical story found in the book of Daniel. This narrative centers around Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, three Jewish men who refused to bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar's golden statue and are consequently thrown into a fiery furnace. Despite the intense flames, they emerge unscathed, their faith in God vindicated. This story serves as a powerful metaphor for trials and testing periods in life that challenge and refine an individual's faith or beliefs, akin to our being purified in a crucible under intense heat. In terms of significance, the fiery furnace represents a testing ground where faith, convictions, or principles are put to the ultimate test. This challenges not only strengthen, but also validate one's beliefs when passed, making it a pivotal element in discussions about resilience, integrity, and divine intervention or spiritual steadfastness. Faith, when tested and proven, often leads to personal growth and a deeper, more robust belief system. Real-world applications of this theme can be observed in various scenarios. A classic example is the perseverance of activists who fight for social justice despite persecution. Figures like Martin Luther King Jr. face severe opposition and personal risk, but remain steadfast, illustrating their faith in their cause through immense trials. Another example can be the personal journey of someone battling a severe illness. Their faith and hope in overcoming their condition are continually tested through treatments and setbacks. Yet those who hold firm often speak of emerging stronger and more resolved. Several scholars and theologians uphold the value of such testing, arguing it filters out superficial elements of belief, leaving only what is genuine and truly valuable. However, there are challenges and alternative viewpoints. Some argue that persistent trials may lead to doubt or complete rejection of faith if the adversity overwhelms an individual's capacity to cope. Others might contend that such tests are unjust or arbitrary, questioning the morality of faith hinged on trial by fire. This concept is interconnected with broader theological and philosophical discussions about the nature of faith, trial, and the meaning of true devotion. It underscores the narrative of personal and spiritual growth found throughout many religious and philosophical traditions. Therefore, understanding this setting helps to appreciate the continuous, often difficult journey of maintaining one's principles in the face of adversity. A journey that, although fraught with challenges, offers the promise of profound transformation and enlightenment. The concept of the fiery furnace, faith tested in the crucible, refers to the idea of faith or belief undergoing severe trials or challenges that test its strength and authenticity. This metaphor derives from the biblical story in the book of Daniel, where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are thrown into a fiery furnace because of their refusal to abandon their faith. A narrative highlighting steadfastness and trust in divine salvation, even amidst dire circumstances. The significance of this point within the broader topic of faith being tested lies in its universal applicability. It serves as a powerful symbol for times when individuals or communities face intense pressure that pushes them to question their foundational beliefs. The idea is crucial because it underscores that true faith isn't just about blind adherence, but is often solidified and refined when confronted with real adversity, much like metal is purified in a literal furnace. One real-world application of this concept can be seen in the stories of persons of faith who persevered during the persecution. For instance, figures like Nelson Mandela, who drew upon his spiritual beliefs during the long years of imprisonment under apartheid, exemplify this concept. Another example is the civil rights movement, led by faith-driven individuals such as Martin Luther King Jr., who faced great personal and collective trials, yet remained steadfast in their beliefs and mission for justice and equality. Supporting this idea, many theologians and philosophers stress that trials forge resilience and deeper understanding. C.S. Lewis famously noted that hardships offer valuable lessons in faith and patience, urging believers to embrace rather than evade adversity as part of spiritual growth. However, this concept poses challenges and controversies. Critics argue that emphasizing the necessity of suffering might lead to a repressive acceptance of unjust conditions or encourage a transactional view of faith, implying that reward solely follows endurance of hardship. Additionally, the notion can be problematic when used to rationalize avoidable suffering or when individuals wrongly equate all types of adversity as divinely ordained tests. Connecting to other aspects of the main topic, The fiery furnace narrative links with discussions on how faith is practiced and expressed in daily life and in extreme situations. It influences dialogue around religious, moral, and ethical decision-making, pointing to the importance of maintaining integrity and conviction in one's principles, regardless of external pressures. This narrative challenges individuals to examine the depth of their convictions and the ways these convictions shape their actions and interactions with the world. The term fiery furnace specifically hails from the biblical book of Daniel, chapter 3, where the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego unfolds. In this narrative, these three Jewish men find themselves thrown into a red-hot furnace for defying King Nebuchadnezzar's decree to worship a golden idol. The concept of the fiery furnace embodies a trial by ordeal, symbolizing severe tests of faith and integrity under extreme pressure. Its significance to the topic, the fiery furnace, faith tested in the crucible, lies in its representation of unwavering faith in the face of life-threatening challenges. This narrative illustrates how faith can be tested and refined through adversity, a theme resonating across various contexts throughout history and literature. It urges an introspection into personal beliefs and the extent of one's commitment to them, even when confronted with dire consequences. A real-world example of this theme is seen in the resilience of individuals facing religious persecution throughout history, such as the early Christians who stayed steadfast despite facing the prospect of death in ancient Rome. Another contemporary example might be whistleblowers in modern corporations who risk their jobs and livelihoods to stand by their truth and integrity despite immense pressure to conform to unethical practices. Scholars and theologians often highlight that the fiery furnace serves as a metaphor for personal growth through adversity, emphasizing that enduring trials can lead to greater spiritual enlightenment and moral fortitude. This perspective finds support in various wisdom traditions, which posit that challenges refine character, much like fire refines gold. However, some contend that glorifying suffering can potentially justify needless hardships or oppressive practices by framing them as tests of character. From an alternative viewpoint, critics might argue that the narrative simplifies complex personal and moral dilemmas, suggesting a one-size-fits-all solution of faith over more nuanced problem-solving methods. The concept of the fiery furnace is foundational in linking to themes of resilience and moral courage inherent in the broader discussion. It influences the discourse on how individuals navigate life's challenges, shaping discussions around integrity, ethical conduct, and the transformative power of facing fears courageously. This story, while biblical in origin, maps onto universal human experiences, making it a poignant reference point for exploring the dynamics of personal conviction under trial. The concept of the fiery furnace, faith tested in the crucible, refers to a metaphorical situation where individuals or groups go through intense trials or challenges that test their faith, beliefs, and resilience. This biblical allusion specifically draws from the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were thrown into a fiery furnace for refusing to bow down to an idol. Yet they emerged unscathed, their faith intact, reinforcing the theme of unwavering belief in the face of adversity. The significance of this concept is profound, as it underscores the idea that true faith is often validated and strengthened through hardships, much like metals are purified when passed through fire. In practical terms, this concept has numerous real-world applications. Take, for instance, the experiences of individuals who face persecution for their religious beliefs. In many regions, adherents of minority faiths endure significant suffering, yet persist in their devotion despite the risks, mirroring the perseverance exhibited in the fiery furnace. Another example is the personal trials encountered in everyday life, such as battling an illness or overcoming a significant personal loss. These experiences can either shake one's faith or reinforce it, depending on how they are approached. Supporters of this idea maintain that enduring trials with steadfast faith can lead to personal growth and a deeper understanding of one's beliefs. Prominent figures and spiritual leaders have often spoken about the purifying power of trials and how overcoming such experiences can lead to stronger character and more profound spiritual insights. However, this viewpoint is not without its challenges and controversies. Critics argue that such a perspective can potentially romanticize suffering and endure hardship unnecessarily. They caution against using faith as a justification to overlook practical solutions to problems or to stay in harmful situations. This concept connects to and influences other aspects of the main topic by highlighting the intersection of faith, resilience, and personal growth. It suggests that the crucibles we encounter in life are not just tests to be survived, but are transformative experiences that can redefine and strengthen one's faith. This perspective invites a broader reflection on how adversity can serve as a catalyst for developing a more mature and deeply rooted belief system. Through this lens, the fiery furnace is not just a test, but a proving ground for the enduring power of faith.